some more feedback on that last message, but I think with all the information, it's just important to revisit some of the highlights, especially because there's a good quarter, maybe a third to 40% of you will be running offices. So that's an important message. But all of you, if you're playing an assistant role or dom role or branch role, need to get people to an event. So you don't have to be the manager in charge. It doesn't have to be, let's say, your office per se. Let's say Elizabeth is one of our assistants in the pilot. She still needs to have these conversations when, you know, I'm talking about going to the conference and then Giovanni says you should go to the conference. That's like grandpa saying you should go to the conference. That's like dad saying you should go to the conference. But it's a different thing when the big sister says go to the conference. Okay, we have some, I always call it the cool uncle effect. You guys heard the cool uncle effect? Cool uncle effect is your parents say clean your room, clean your room, clean your room. Ah, mom, you go to the party, and you got the cool Uncle Jeff, the coolest uncle ever. He says, you should clean your room. And you go, yeah, mom, Uncle Jeff said I should clean my room. And your mom goes, but it's not because cleaning your room is different. It's because who it's coming from is different. And who and just a different filter. So that's part of that. Any other takeaways real quick? Just revisit what's important. And if you're next level, maybe highlight perhaps some things that need to be highlighted in terms of event management and what's really important. I'll go there. We can go, anyone virtual can just raise your hand. I'll call on you, and then we'll go over here live. Do we have anyone over in Tampa? Anyone in Tampa? No? Okay. San Juan, are we ready to roll? Are we hanging out? Looks like we're hanging out, Mason. Are we hanging out?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Let's grab a seat, everyone. Let's roll. So I just want to take a quick debrief of Luke's message. Again, some big highlights. And the analogy, I'm sorry I was on mute, but the analogy I used was the cool uncle factor. Because your mom can tell you to clean your room, but your cool uncle says that all of a sudden you hear it. And that's why I think even as an assistant manager, not just a branch or a district manager, you need to be able to promote events just like that. So any takeaways from Luke's message? We'll start here and then we'll go to Tampa and then go to San Juan real quick. Adrian.
Just making sure that the rep gets the team meetings, and if they don't, like, contact them as soon as they don't show up.
Yeah, let me give you an idea. When you're a rep and the customer says, hey, can you call me next week? What's the first, if you're a decent or a really good rep, you should know, what's the first feeling that you should have of someone who wants to push it off till next week? Right, that's what you would say. But like, what's the first feeling you should have as a sales rep, as a good sales rep who knows how this whole thing works?
I don't want to wait till next week.
I don't want to wait till next week. I want to see you, in fact, this week. I want to see you right now or tonight. Because the closer to with the call, the better. The same thing as Adrian's saying, you got to get them to team meetings or they're not here. Like when someone says, okay, well, I'll come to the next team meeting, they're probably not going to be there. So whatever you're going to say to create urgency, you might as well do that now to get them a shot at that Wednesday meeting versus they don't make it and you have, I don't know, maybe a 70, 80% chance they're not going to be here. Cool? We'll go Eric and then we'll go to Tampa and San Juan.
You don't know which event's going to change someone's life.
You don't know which event's going to change someone's life. And for most of you, it's that SC1 event. Okay, cool exercise we do, and Luke remembers this. We take everyone that's on your team, you put their names, you make a red line. Anyone that doesn't make it to SC1, everyone who does above the line. Was that extra that you didn't need to do? Okay, probably. So you got the red line. Anyone who goes to SC1 above, anyone who doesn't go to SC1 below, and usually the people below don't make it through the summer. In fact, they're usually not there within 3 weeks. That's almost always the case. And Luke and we've done this exercise again and again, and we say, oh, well, they didn't make it to SC1, so we assume they're not going to be here. We try, but we assume they're not going to be here. Okay. How about over to Tampa and San Juan? Other takeaways from event to event management. That is Josh.
So like you said, my big statement is just if you're not influencing your life from somebody else's,
yeah, and that's why frequency is important, especially when they're brand new. How often are you speaking to them? Cool. Anyone else? We'll go to, is that Steven? Go ahead, Steven. And then we'll go Zach.
Yeah, I like the AT1 talk about, like, it doesn't really matter what your circumstances, if you're doing really well or really bad, you can like, oh, great, you sold the complete set. Like, you can't wait to see that AT1. Like, it doesn't really matter how you're doing, just how you're doing the AT1.
Okay.
I like what he said when you talk about event to event to slow down, be serious, and then go back to your flow, like whatever you were talking.
Okay. Good. And then one more, I think it was Zach.
Yeah, just how everything is vital to a rep's success, like promoting that to them and how like saying it's in your best interest to go there. If you want to have success here, then you need to be at this event, etc.
The last part, if you want to be success, okay, you want to be successful, you have to be this way. Okay. So this message is more of almost the mechanics of what you're going to say, right? So this is PDI, and I think this is what's really important with PDI. It's important not to worry about the words so much as it is what you're trying to get across. Okay? And I think maybe that's the first note that you write when it comes to PDI. We have a lot of people, I look at the back of the row to the front, people who have run offices before, people who have taken, I see Kirsten in the back has been an assistant in the pilot, right? All the way up to some newer members, like Danny has been taking PDI as a new Dom in your role this past fall. I mean, all different experiences. The better you are at PDI, it usually goes to, do you understand what you're trying to get done? And don't get caught up in the vector. One of the vector traps, or a lot of vector traps, is getting caught up in the, well, what's the one thing that you say to get blank? What's the phrase? And that's why I can always tell who gets caught up in the trap, because there's like excessive light bulb going on at these events, right? You ever go to a conference and you have those like obnoxious light bulbs and they say, oh, that's fire, say that. Well, no, it's right. It's like saying, oh, CrossFit, that's the new thing. No, you're still out of shape and don't eat right and don't work out enough to lose weight. CrossFit ain't gonna help you. Understanding how to work out and be healthy will help you. And that's what Andrew, who is also very healthy, by the way, is here to talk about. He's here to talk about PDI, personal daily interaction. And some of you, it's funny, I think there was a couple of reps that said, hey, what does PDI mean? And to this day, still doesn't know. They just know PDI means like whatever you do to talk to people. PDI stands for personal daily interaction. That's a true story. Okay. So I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Andrew. He's going to use the board. And Andrew's, I think the thing I want you to take from his message is how do you break up the PDI to the 4 to 5 sections he's going to show you. So there are 4 to 5 sections you want to look for. And what are the objectives of your conversations, those 4 to 5. Okay. So without further ado, to wrap up our instruction for the day, give it up, Mr. Andrew Evans. Thank you.
Yes. I should probably not write on the board. So. Is there?
Okay, you know, mute yours. Mute yours.
Loud noises.
Okay, can you still hear? Stephen DeFall, I'll use you. Can you still hear? Okay.
Let me just mute yours and
That's what I just did.
yeah. You guys can still hear?
Yeah. It's my mic.
All right, great. So should I just take mine out Zoom or what? Just put it away. Do we need this
Yeah,
here?
you can do that. That's fine. I was going to use my computer. That's fine. It's all good.
Oh, well,
No worries. Go
okay.
for it. Yeah.
All right. Can I have someone that can write on the board? Or I can try to.
Can I have a volunteer to be the writer?
Someone that probably knows this information very well.
Kirsten?
Kirsten or Luke.
No, I gotta stay right there.
Or Eddie. Sure, Eddie.
Could
come
you?
on up.
Yeah, Kirsten.
Here. I don't really care. All right, guys. So Wyatt, whoever's coming up here is running the board. Yeah, no, I'm not long enough here. All right. So PDI, first thing, what does it stand for, everybody? There we go. And I know like 90% of the room would have not known that. Jeff didn't say it 30 seconds ago. Okay. Here's the other thing it stands for. It's pretty damn important.
That's an example.
No, but I mean, you can tell that to reps. I tell them all the time. So anyway, so PDI, here's the first thing. It's like, why is it important? Like, this is your opportunity to impact reps on a daily basis. And PDI is something that, like, there's different ways of doing it. And, like, just doing PDI doesn't mean, like I see so oftentimes new managers in the business or people that have been in it for long enough, they just do it as a habit. And they're just like, check the box. Did I do PDI? That I call the reps, but I've listened to some people's PDI calls, and their PDI calls are actually probably negatively affecting those reps because they make those reps not want to even work there anymore because their phone calls are annoying and bothersome, and they don't actually impact that rep or the office in any positive way. So you've got to make sure that, like, when you're talking to people on the phone, that it's actually purposeful. And when they talk to you, they should feel like they're also gaining value from it, because if they don't, what's going to happen is you're going to keep calling them and they're never going to answer your calls. Always, especially new managers in the business, they're always like, I don't know, whenever I call, they just never answer my phone calls, right? And they might not understand that too, but for me, I'm just like, yeah, I wonder why they don't answer your phone calls, because usually when they call, like, they don't get any value from you calling. Versus, like, it'd be crazy. Like, I give you an example. Sometimes we'd have people that, like, we'd give them calls, and then, like, a certain person like Eddie, or I would call them and then instantly, like, they'd answer, right? If they didn't respond to somebody else's calls. So you have to, number one, have a relationship with that person to start it off and make sure that you're impacting them and giving them value. So when it comes down to it, okay, if you're a good manager, anytime you're a good manager, you're doing one of two things. You're either impacting sales or you're impacting recruiting. Like, if you are physically in the office and you want to be doing something productive, whatever you're doing in that current moment should either be impacting sales or impacting recruiting, right? And so if we're actually talking about how to move the needle in a sales report, or how to move the needle or create a big summer, like, most of your time and energy should be spent there. The office cleaning and the setup and preparation, all that stuff has to happen, but that's not really what moves the needle of the business. Like, if you have a nicer, lobby, or you spent an hour organizing papers, that might help, and that stuff still needs to happen, but, like, you're not going to sell more that week because you guys did that. So keep that in mind initially. And so whenever you're on a phone call, that, like, if you had a positive PDI conversation with someone, like, there should be some kind of result coming from that, right? Like, if I finished, like, let's say I walked in and an assistant manager just made a PDI call, and I walk in like, oh, how did that go? Oh, it went really, really great. You can say, all right, tell me about it. Well, they're really, really excited for this week. It's like, what else? It's like, that's pretty much it. Or they're coming today to the meeting. It's like, okay, great. Like, I hope they're coming to the meeting. It's like when we do confirmation calls, like, the point is not to confirm them for the meeting that they're supposed to and expected to be at. The point is to make sure that they show up in the right way and something is impacted there that wouldn't have otherwise happened from you calling them. So you always want to have that perspective when you're talking to people and reps on the phone, is like, hey, am I impacting sales? Am I impacting recruiting? So if you're on the phone with the sales rep, what's one example, like, what would be an outcome of that call that would impact sales?
Book some demos.
Book demos, right? Like, that means, like, you finish the conversation, and what's happening now?
He's calling. Call you back.
They're hopping on the phone, or they're upping their goals, or they're working on their attack list, or, like, some kind of action is spurring from that call that is going to allow them to be able to sell more that week, right? Not getting excited is good and it's helpful, but that's probably not going to necessarily impact the sales as much, right? Creating, like, demos is impact sales. What's an example of, like, I don't know, creating recruits? What's an action there, an outcome there?
They send you PR.
Sending you PR, right? What is it? Something else maybe that could do that. Posting a triple threat was maybe another idea. Three-way texting, whatever. I mean, it could be anything that's recruiting based, but you always want to have that outcome, and something like that should be happening. And I want to see that too. Like, you also have to be careful, because you don't want to make it seem like that's all you care about, right? But as a manager, like, that should be one of the outcomes that's happening on the PDI conversation. But you also, there's a way you can go too far from it, where you're just like, all right, so I got to create sales and recruits. So it's like, all right, cool. So, like, and I hear people do this. They just get the same repetition of, like, all right, every Friday they call them, like repetition, like clockwork. Friday, oh, how many demos you have? All right, well, why don't you hop on the phone and, book some more appointments, right? If they say the exact same thing to them every time you call them, again, they're going to start ignoring your calls. So they know all I'm going to do is they're going to call me, ask me how many demos I have, and ask me to do a couple more. And that's just annoying every single week if that's the same call they get every single week. So let me give you guys a first 10-day walkthrough. And I kind of already walked through it. Okay. I didn't know you were writing this stuff. And I kind of already, I was going to go through, like, a whole full day schedule. But Luke pretty much already went through most of what I was going to go over. So to save us some time, at least on a 10-day walkthrough, you kind of have, like, 3 sections in terms of PDI and how PDI happens during your first week on the job and during the first 10 days. So the first one is first weekend PDI. And I guess that's the first thing we can write down, right? So first weekend PDI. This is something that's a staple in our office, but first weekend PDI is crucial. I'm not actually going to go over, like, the conversations of how you have it. You guys are going to have an assignment after this to watch the Scott Dennis PDI video, and that will give you a better idea of like the conversations that you actually have in terms of like closing demos and stuff like that too, and preparing people throughout their first weekend. But what I'll share with you guys is that like if a rep launches their first weekend, again, when it comes to expectations and tone, that whatever expectation they get their first weekend is how they'll treat the rest of the job, right? So if you set like the false expectation at the beginning, or if they're not calling in from your appointments from Friday and Saturday after you launch from training, it's going to be 10 times harder to get them to start calling in like Monday or Tuesday, right? So if you go the first weekend and you just don't like, they just don't call you from any of your appointments, even though you told them in training, hey, you need to call in from all your appointments, and they go like 2 days thinking like, oh, I can just not call in from my appointments and no one's going to tell me anything, then they're just going to keep doing that for the rest of their career. And if that happens, they're probably not selling, and they're probably also not going to be there very long. So for your first weekend, the most important thing is that every single demo gets closed out. So if they launch from training, which most people's training is Thursday, Friday training, that first night, the first 3 hours right after training, like if you're a branch manager, I might not even leave the office yet, right? Or if you're like, whatever it is, like every single one of those demos needs to be closed out. So they even either need to be calling you, or you need to be giving them a call. If it's been an hour and a half is usually the time allotment that I give people. So if they had a 5 o'clock appointment, if I haven't heard from them by 6:30 p.m., they're getting a phone call from someone from our office asking, hey, you had a 5 p.m. appointment, just following up, like what happened, right? And half the time they don't call because they just got a cancellation or reschedule, but also this is important. If that happens Friday night, now you set the tone, okay, cool, next time just let me know. And then you can also start framing the mentality for what they should do when they get cancellations and reschedules all weekend long. If you don't have that conversation, what happens? You end up talking to them Saturday night, and they've had 5 out of their 10 demos canceled for the weekend, and then they're about to go into Sunday morning, and they have more cancellations, and they do like 3 demos that whole weekend because you can't touch on that mentality the first weekend. Second thing is, it's an opportunity to fix bad habits and really set the tone. But you have to close out every single one of those demos that first weekend. Like every single time someone does a demo, they either need to be calling you or you're giving them a call. And it's almost every single week like clockwork. Like the people that don't call in, and if we don't talk to them Friday and Saturday, they usually are not there when Monday rolls around. And so to Luke's point, the goal for the first weekend and what we promote during training is every single person before they come to Advanced Training 1, it's first weekend? Anyone know? First promo, first weekend. So how much in sales? $1,000 in sales. $1,000 in sales, $100 in income, right? So what most managers are promoting in training is like, hey, goal guys here is everyone first promotion, first weekend. By Monday, Advanced Training, it's going to be 10-8-10. 80% of you guys are going to be right around that $1,000 mark, a little bit above, a little bit below. 10% of you guys are going to hit a couple promotions, doing that $3,000 to $6,000 mark. And then another 10% of you might struggle a little bit, probably won't do enough appointments. And then, you might only get a couple $100 in the sales and still be on the way to that $1,000, okay? The reason that's so important, okay, by the way, show of hands, who in here sold $1,000 in their first weekend before Monday at midnight? Raise your hand. You sold $1,000 your first 3 or 4.5 days, 4 days on the job. Okay, it's like 90% of the room. And there's a reason for that, by the way. Who in here did not sell $1,000 their first weekend? Okay, and it wasn't because you were out of town or something.
No.
I mean, I didn't.
Really not.
Okay, it's like 2 people. Okay, and those people are complete anomalies. If you don't sell $1,000 your first weekend on the job, chances are you don't end up being here. So it's really important to make sure they have that because they need a chance and a taste of that initial success. So your goal as a PDI coach for the first weekend is like, all right, boom. Like first mentality is like, I launched 10 people from training. Everyone gets their first sale, right? So on your phone calls, again, the actual word and verbiage you're going to learn from the Scott Dennis video, but this is the mentality. It's like, okay, boom, let me get everyone to the first promotion as fast as possible. First sale is the first thing I'm worried about. So like if on Sunday, when Sunday rolls around, they've had all day Saturday and Friday night. Sunday, when you get to the office, usually the first thing that we'll do is we'll check in and say, all right, cool. Let me get a list of all the trainees, all 10 people, and I want to see what everyone's at in sales. So you can go down the list and you can see like, hey, this person already first promotion. This person hasn't even had a sale yet. This person has made their first sale. So you're targeting the people that haven't made a sale yet, and it's like those are the people we got to get them a sale before Monday, so they come into Advanced Training like already feeling a little bit good. And then the next goal is like, all right, who's already got the first sale? Let's get them to $1,000. And then people that are high flyers, like let's just keep coaching them to be high flyers and keep shaping their mentality to go keep going bigger. That's the mentality for first weekend. Again, if you do a solid job with first weekend, the rest of their fast start is really, really easy to manage them. Okay, if you don't do it, it's really, really tough to manage them for the rest of their fast start. Again, after first weekend, you don't need to be like, a demo Nazi about it. And like every single time like someone leaves like, with a demo in their week and you didn't call you don't have to freak out and call them. But the first weekend, you have to be that way with them to set the right expectations and tone. Let's move on here. So after their first weekend, okay, the next section that you have is just a week. So like basically Monday through Thursday. Okay, one thing that really needs to happen in every office is confirming for every event. Okay, Sunday night, whether it's a text or a phone call would be ideal, but at a bare minimum, a text message needs to go out before you leave the office on Sunday night to the trainees to remind them for advanced training. Not to make sure, hey, checking in if you're coming, but just as a friendly reminder. And then what else on Sunday night? What happens on Monday that it's a Sunday night and they just finished the first weekend, you would also want to try to get them to? Shout out. Yeah, Champions Club is on Monday morning. So that's the other conversation that you're having with them is like, hey, just want to give you a reminder for advanced training tomorrow at 10:30. And I also want to confirm you for Champions Club tomorrow. You'll be able to make it to that, right? And having a conversation that's like either building value for it to get into that, or worst case scenario, it's like, oh, you can't make tomorrow, right? Can you definitely come on Tuesday? Okay, cool. And then firming it up with them from there too. So you're setting up Champions Club, setting up advanced training. Then you have the rest of the week, and then you have their so you have the week, and then you have their second weekend on the job. So let me move on here. Okay, first weekend PDI. I don't know if someone wants to take a photo of that or something. I don't know.
Yes.
Because we're gonna race it probably in a second.
Someone take Miss Rod, do you mind?
Maybe just post it. Next thing that you guys can put down in your notes, okay, is Tuesday PDI. So Tuesday PDI is going to be the next thing that we're going to put down.
Andrew, you have to. Okay.
Okay. So, and there's a couple different types of PDI. First weekend PDI just needs to happen. Blanket, like it's got to happen. It's once you leave training till Sunday when you come back, it's the most important thing that happens all weekend. In our office, at least, we just make sure every demo is closed out on WhatsApp. There's 2 other times during the week. There's different types of PDI, but there's 2 other times in the week where you should actually have it blocked off in your schedule as an actual function to sit down and do PDI. Because some PDI just happens, people are closing sales, demos, you're getting calls all day. That happens all the time, day, night, whatever. But there's 2 times where, like, in your manager's schedule for the week, whether you're an AM, a branch manager, or a district manager, you should have it blocked off in your schedule. Here's when I do this PDI, and here's when I do this PDI. Anyone know what 2 days those are? Tuesday and Friday, that's right. So Tuesday PDI, okay, is the second type of PDI that we do. And does anyone have an idea why, someone that's never done Tuesday PDI, does anyone have an idea like why, like what you would be doing on Tuesday? Yeah.
Getting them ready for the team meeting Wednesday.
Bingo. So send them up for the team meeting on Wednesday, okay? Now that's the basic. So let me actually give you what you can put on the board for this, Eddie, is so there's 3 things that should happen on a Tuesday, okay? Before Eddie puts it down, what's one other thing? It's Tuesday. What also just happened yesterday? The week ended, right? So what does everyone know now?
Paycheck.
Yeah, they know what their paycheck's going to be like on Thursday, and they also know they just sold last week, okay? So this is the first thing that you can put down for Tuesday PDI is a last week review, okay? Last week review. So when you call them up on Tuesday, again, if you're ever tight on time, this is the one thing that I'd cut out, right? So if you like don't have enough time to get through the whole team, you got to make sure you're talking to like all your best people. So I might not do the last week review, but especially in the fall, spring, if you got less than like 15, 20 people on your team, you should definitely do that with someone each and every single Tuesday, right? And the conversation there, well, let me get the other one. Actually, I'll expand on that first. So last week review, first off, just ask questions, right? So like, hey, and I pull up web PDI, by the way. Whenever you're doing Tuesday or Friday PDI, you should have vectorconnect.com and web PDI right in front of you so you can see the stats. So rather than asking them like, hey, what are your goals for this week? What did you sell last week? You're like, hey, so I see here, man, you sold $1,000 last week. You know, like, how do you feel about that? Right? So like, hey, I see here you sold this last week. You know, how do you feel about that? Cool. And that's generally where I start the conversation. And again, like if your goal is to help impact them, like, you know, like if they sold $500 for the week and they're like, yeah, I feel really good about that. It's like, awesome. It's like, you know, so you probably made like $100 in income last week. You know, is that like your weekly goal, by the way? Are you cool like just making $100 a week? And by the way, if they are, you know, awesome, maybe inspire them to go more. But usually if they had bad sales results, like you don't have to like convince them to try to sell more. They usually want to, you know, it's like, yeah, you know, I only sold like $500 last week. It's like, all right, cool. So you made like, you know, $70. How do you feel about that? You know, I wish it would be a little bit more. All right, cool. Well, like, tell me about like, you know, this week. What do you got going on for this week? So it's like, okay, cool. How do you feel about last week? And then what's the goal for this week? And what are we going to do differently this week in order to have not the same results that we had last week, right? Or in order to keep the same results that you had last week, you were crushing it. What are some of the things that you did last week? All right, awesome. We're going to make sure that we implement that into the schedule this week. And so you're following up and having a conversation with them based on whatever it is that their goals are and helping coach them towards their goals. So, you know, if you know they had a rough sales week last week, this is when you have this conversation with them, it's easier to actually have a conversation once you get to confirming them for the Wednesday team meeting and you start talking about their goal. They tell you their demo goal is like 4 demos or like 5 demos. And it's like, well, you know, like that's what you did last week. And last week you sold $400. So is that what you want to do again this week? All right, cool. Like, what do you think maybe we should try to do in order to get a little bit higher? All right, maybe 9 or 10. Yeah, that probably will get you a little bit better results. And you can have that conversation with them. So again, first thing is last week review. Okay, second thing is going to be the team meeting confirmation / setup. So team meeting confirmation / setup. So one key that I'll give you here is start off with like excitement. Start off with energy. Again, like they should leave that call feeling like energized and excited. Not like, yeah, I gotta book up more appointments again. You know, like should not be the feeling. Like again, like you want to make sure that when a rep is talking to you, they feel better than before you called them. So start off with the excitement. Don't just start off like, hey, you know, we got our Wednesday team meeting tomorrow. So like, what time can I expect you? All right, great, blah, blah. Like, and again, just checking off the PDI checklist. You're actually just hurting in the office when you do that. But confirm it's like, hey, so we have our team meeting tomorrow. I'm fired up. This is your first team meeting. I'm like, hey, I'm fired up. I know you've been doing a bunch of these, but this Wednesday is going to be really exciting. Again, start off with the exciting things. So the theme, like every single Wednesday, especially at least during the summer, you should have a theme for your office. If you're a branch manager, don't have a Wednesday without a theme. Plan them out before the summer starts. This is an easy way to infuse culture into your office. And as Luke was mentioning earlier, culture beats strategy every time. So have a theme and promote that on the call. Like, hey, this is the theme. This is what everyone's wearing. You've got a good outfit. Are you excited? All right, cool. And then share your phone jam and team goals. So if you want to put team meeting, put theme. So theme. The next thing I'd put is phone jam and team goals. So like, hey, our goal as an office is to book up 100 demos this Wednesday. Yeah, last week we only booked up 60. Like this is going to be bigger than anything like you had. Like promoting whatever the vision is for that night, right? Like, hey, what are we trying to get accomplished as a team? Or we're trying to do whatever the goals are as a team. Are you raffling away any cool prizes? Like, hey, this week we're raffling off a K-bar. Hey, this week I'm giving away like 7 table knives, man. There's only like 8 people on the team. Like, you could definitely win one, you know, like whatever the case is. So, but are you raffling off? And then the last thing is like, do you have a value talk during your team meeting? Like, is there content? Do you have a guest speaker? Is someone giving a talk and recommendations? And the last thing I'm really excited for you about, man, is we have, Eddie is giving a talk tonight on how to get a ton of recommendations. I know you've been crushing the sales game, but I know you're struggling a little bit with that. So I'm really, really excited for you to get that message tonight this Wednesday. It's really, really going to help you out. And again, getting them excited for the meeting first before you're just like, all right, what time can I expect you to arrive? All right, great. And what's your goal for the night? All right, cool. Do you have your attack list ready? All right, awesome. All right, cool. See you Wednesday. You know, again, build up the excitement. Then after you've done that, the next thing that you can go to is the actual goals, right? So I would do goals first and then the arrival time, right? Because their goal should be, if like their goal is like 15 demos, right? And then they want to arrive at like 7:30 p.m. So yeah, it's probably not gonna happen. So let's either like lower their goal or let's like change what time you're gonna get there, so we can like prepare you for success and not just prepare you to fail to hit your goals. And so you can have that conversation with them, like, hey, what do you think is your goal for the week? Which ideally is framed from the conversation you had after like talking about their past week and how they did with that. And then from there, it's confirming arrival times during the summer. 6 p.m. should be like the latest anyone gets to the office for a team meeting. Unless they have something special circumstance going on, like 6 p.m. is like the last time anyone gets to the meeting. And it's like arrival is like, I would usually tell them like, hey, so arrivals are like, between 5 and 6 p.m., like when can we expect you? Right? And they'll usually just say like 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m., or like 6 p.m. Right? And again, like it's okay if they need to come later, just as long as you have the conversation about it. Maybe it's 4:30 p.m. or getting them in there a little bit earlier. Maybe you want to get them in there a little bit earlier so you can like do some 3-way texting with them or to set up some of their PRs, again, impacting sales or impacting recruits. And the last thing I'd share is like the team night out. Say, hey, by the way, like team night out attendance, guys, like there's a reason we do team night outs. And as much as like they are fun too, but like, team night outs again is another awesome way to infuse culture into your team. When you're building a branch from the very beginning, like this is a good opportunity for you all, or when you're really just kicking things for the summer, like there's so many like offices that I know don't do team night outs or like rarely do them. And that is really just like, it's an office culture killer. And you're just really missing out. The other thing is too, is that sometimes getting team night outs, it's just like any event. You got to promote it and you got to get the attendance there. Right. And you got to make it fun. And I would confirm people, if you're having trouble getting team night out attendance, confirm people the day before, right? Versus asking them at 9 p.m. as you're finishing the meeting, okay, who wants to go team night out? Oh, everyone's already got plans? All right, great. So promote the team night out ahead of time so people are already thinking about it before they show up for Wednesday that they're going to go to team night out afterwards. So last week review, team meeting setup, and then what happened in advanced training 1 at the end of advanced training 1? You gave them a what? All that stuff is what you gave them, but you also gave them what that was going to be due on Wednesday. An assignment, okay? Does anyone know what that assignment is? TAC list, okay? So it's a names list, and it's specifically names list of how many people? Yeah, so 30 to 50 plus people, okay? And so whoever's running your advanced training, or if you're running your advanced training, you should, they're going to do a detailed walkthrough, or you're going to do a detailed walkthrough on what type of people are coming up with this list, which, I don't know how much time I have, but all right, let's just review it real quickly. This is important. Yeah, we can erase that. Yeah. So, assignments, do we say, hey, and Monday, the conversation in advanced training is like, hey guys, so, on Wednesday, what we're going to do is we just explain what an attack list is first. It's like, hey, this is what an attack list is. Basically like an aggressive name for like the list of people that you have to call when you first started the job. That list that you brought into training was your attack list. Eventually, later on down the job, your attack list is just going to be a compiled list of all the recommendations you get. Right now, guys, you don't want to call any recommendations, okay? And then you explain all the rationale behind that. But it's like, all right, cool. So here's the people that you want to have on your attack list for Wednesday. Okay, so the first person that you're going to have on your attack list, okay, you want to have your top 10 what? Top 10. Top 10 acquaintances. Okay, top 10 acquaintances. So again, the manager or you. Okay, so if you're assistant manager, your manager should cover this. And it's, by the way, like this, I would kill if all my assistant managers all knew this, right? Because I know like some DMs don't even know this stuff, and they like forget it. Jeff does it every single week. But if you know like how to do the list, it's a lot more valuable than just like, all right, you got your attack list ready to roll, because you can actually coach them and be like, all right, well, here's the people you want on your list. So have you done this section yet? Okay, cool. Tell me about the next section. I've done this section. If you're having that call, like your team's going to be infinitely more successful when they show up on Wednesday. So the first one is the top 10 acquaintances. I'd write just like top 10 next to that. Okay, and we do a review of the 4 gears of Cutco. Does anyone remember what that is? So you have your friends and family, acquaintances, directory / list, and then recommendations. Okay, all of you guys probably had some version of that in your initial training, so you guys know what I'm talking about. But you do a review of that so everyone knows what we're talking about first, and it's like, all right, cool. Then the next group of people that's on there is, what is it? Top 10 acquaintances, and then it would be your best virtuals. Okay, so best virtuals. So who from your list that you haven't seen that's like one of your top virtuals? Your best virtuals. Okay. Any callbacks or reschedules from your first weekend? So any callbacks, reschedules, cancellations? Okay. And then the last group that's kind of like the caveat here is anyone else from your initial list that you haven't called yet. AKA that giant brainstorm list that they had or the list they brought to training. Anyone else that you haven't seen yet should also be on your attack list. So anyone from initial list that you haven't seen yet. And then the conversation I have with them is just like, hey guys, that alone should get you to like 30 at least, right? And here's the bonus here. You don't want to call recommendations just yet. But if you've got some recommendations of people that fall into like the list 2 or 3, like you kind of know of them or they know of you or it's like one of mom's good friends, you could call some of those people. We're going to teach you how to call some of the acquaintances on Wednesday in advanced training too. So I put like a line here. And the bonus is recommendations, or just put recs, parentheses, from list 2 and 3. Okay, so when you're having the Tuesday conversations with them, it's like, all right, cool. The third thing is the assignment. All right, whatever, it will be over here later. But the third thing, you're good. Recs from list 2 and 3. Am I going too fast, by the way? Okay, cool. All right, so recs from list 2 and 3. And so it's like, hey, so the last thing you did, so you did last week review, then you did team meeting, setup and confirmations. The last thing, it's kind of part of team meeting, setup and confirmations. If they're just there on a weekly basis, it's just reconfirm their attack list, seeing how they're doing with it. But if it's their first week, it's like, all right, cool. Now, do you have how far along are you on your assignment? Okay, and every call between Monday when they leave advanced training and Wednesday, boom, they just call you from a demo. Cool, hey, just sold another homemaker. Awesome, cool. How many recommendations did you get? Great, how you feeling? Cool, awesome. And then like, cool, you just got another 10 recommendations. Awesome. So you can add some of those to your attack list. How many names and numbers do you have on your assignment so far, right? That's a conversation Monday night, all day Tuesday, and Wednesday morning. Awesome, you're already at 20. Cool, how many do you think you're going to be able to get to by Wednesday, right? And it's like a conversation. So when reps show up Wednesday and they didn't do the assignment and they don't really know what you're talking about, that clearly means no one ever even mentioned it on a phone call like Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday morning. Because they heard about it Wednesday for like 5 minutes and then they left and never heard about it again. It's like, oh, I didn't even know there was one. But when it's happening on every call, every time they talk to you between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's like, cool. And then like, how's your assignment looking now? How many more names are you adding to it? So they're working on it throughout the week and constantly adding more people to it. And it should be on a physical list. So all this is explained in advanced training. But if you're the manager, you should be explaining this. Or if you're an assistant manager, you know this is explained every Monday. So you're following up with this and you can actually ask and coach them like, oh, I've only got like 5. I don't have anything yet. Cool. Let me help you out with that. How many do you have your acquaintances down on that list? And you can start walking them through the things versus just like, all right, well, like how many can you have to your attack list? And you don't really know how to actually help them. Cool. Is that helpful? Confusing? All right, cool. So that is second day of PDI is Tuesday PDI, all right? That is by far probably the most important PDI next to the next PDI that we're going to talk about, which is we said Tuesday, and what's the next day? Friday PDI. Okay, so Wednesday is the next day after Tuesday, but Friday PDI is the next day we're going to talk about. The other thing that, well, actually, I'll throw it in there. I'll come back to this. Okay, so Friday PDI. Friday PDI during the summertime should happen between like 9 and 12. Okay, 9 and 12. After like 12, like every hour after 12 p.m., you are like losing sales when you're doing Friday PDI. If it has not been like finished by that point in time, like you're losing like your opportunity to impact that weekend. Just the purpose of Friday PDI. Okay. During the school year, again, like during the fall and spring, more probably the afternoon, because if you have a lot of students in school and things like that, you don't want to be calling them during their classes. Again, like a smart thing to think about is like if you know kids that are in school, they're going to stop answering calls and they're going to hate their job if their manager calls them every single time they're in class. And it's like every time they're in class, they get a call, they're just going to start getting annoyed, right? So like having that, their class schedule on what PDI could help with that stuff. But Friday PDI, here's the objectives here. Well, let me ask you guys, what do you think is an objective of Friday PDI? Rob, you answered a lot. Let me have Marley.
Setting up the weekend.
Okay, setting up the weekend. So, think about what's happened here, okay? Wednesday, they left with all their demos for the weekend up until Sunday, okay? Over that course, oftentimes they left with 10 demos, but 10 demos don't get done, okay? So, whether it's cancellations or people just really wanting raffle tickets, okay? Not all 10 demos actually end up happening. So, and it's funny too, by the way, because here's how you know this, because they left on Wednesday with like 15 demos, and they've done 2 demos since Wednesday, and you call them Friday morning, and how many demos do you have for the weekend? Like 6, right? It's like, where did half your demos go? So again, it's really just the same that Tuesday is. It's having a conversation with them with like, hey, what are your goals for this weekend? How did you do last week? Okay, it's already going to Friday. This is how much you're at in sales so far for the week. What do you want to finish off the week at? Okay, so we call this benchmark PDI also. So Friday PDI or benchmark PDI. And what you want to do is when you go down the list, you want to talk to every single rep, okay? And you're driving them towards a benchmark. You're driving them towards some kind of goal. Believe it or not, most sales reps don't actually really have goals. They just kind of go out there and see what happens each and every single week, right? So having something that they're working towards or something like, all right, cool, I'm going to like go after this weekend, just that alone helps, right? So the benchmarks is, are they going to do 1K, 3K, 5K, 7K, or 10K plus, right? So like, and that's for the week, right? So if they're sitting at like 300, 400 bucks, the conversation I probably have with them is like, all right, cool. Can we like get you coaching them on how to get to $1,000 to finish off the week? Can we at least get you on the newsletter this week, right? And talk about how cool it is to be on the newsletter, right? If they're at like 1,500 bucks, I'd be coaching them to 3K. If they're at like, 5K, it's like, who are the people that you can coach to have a 5K, 7K, or 10K week each week, right? And again, like usually in a big sales week, there's almost always, if you sold 50 grand as an office for the week, there's almost always 1 or 2 people that popped off that week, okay? And it's not always the same people. It's usually different people each week. So on that Friday morning, it's like, all right, who can I pour into this weekend and like coach this weekend to get a big goal, and they're going for a number and they have a benchmark and they're working after that throughout the weekend, right? And then after that, after they have a goal, they have a benchmark, it's helping them create the action or supporting actions that are going to allow them to hit that goal. So sometimes they might have just as many demos as they need. And again, sometimes they just be mindful of that. If they're really pushing themselves and doing everything they can, don't be like, hey, how about, 3 more? What do you think about that? But if they're like, all right, cool. Like, it's like, well, you want to sell like $2,000 this weekend, you've only got 4 demos booked up right now. Do you think you're going to be able to sell all 2,000 of that on those 4 demos? I think maybe if they go really well. Like, yeah. Maybe, but I'd rather what we do is like we put on the actions versus the results, right? And we focus on like what it's going to take to get you there. That way, like even if you fall a little bit short, right, or you don't get drastically high results, you're still going to get to $2,000, right? So like what else, like what's your schedule like for the weekend? Coach them through like how to book up those demos. The next thing is like having a conversation with them with when's your next phone time, right? So a lot of times like, all right, cool, like, all right, so, you came to the agreement, they're like, all right, I want to get like an extra 4 or 5 demos for this weekend. That's why you need to do it Friday morning, because if you do this Friday night or Saturday morning, like they don't have any more good phone time. Like Friday night, they're not going to get a hold of anyone, really, right? So it's like setting up, all right, cool, like, well, now's a great time. You might run out of time like this evening. Like, what are you doing right now? Great, okay? And this is the opposite of what you want to do. Okay, cool. Yeah, so can you like how about you just hop on the phone right now and book up some more demos and like, let me know how it goes. Yeah. Okay. They're probably not going to make like 3 calls and not do anything. And then that's that. Okay. So the conversation you always need to manage through agreements. So when you call someone and let's say they're about to book up a phone jam, okay, you don't want to say, hey, you want to book up 10 appointments this weekend? All right, let me know how those 10 appointments go when you book them up or if you get to your goal this weekend. The conversation that I'm having is just little small actions that you can hold as agreements. All right, cool. So, Julia, you're going to try to book up a couple more. You said right now is a good phone time? All right, cool. Or at 3 o'clock is a good phone time, whatever you guys agreed on. Well, it's like, all right, why don't you do this? Like, why don't you hop off the phone, make like 10 quick calls, or get 2 demos booked, whichever one happens faster, and then just give me a call back and we'll celebrate. Right, I'm going to say that again. So, Cool, awesome. You just finished the phone call. It's like, all right, cool. So why don't you get off the phone right now, make like 10 quick calls, or book up like your first 2 appointments, whichever one happens faster, then give me a call back and we'll celebrate. Or if you're going to be too busy, just or text me and then we'll celebrate afterwards. Right? So you want to get just some small action and then like instant reward. So you're celebrating their hard work. 5 calls or 10 calls. Not like, all right, cool. Why don't you make like 35 calls right now, and then let me know how it goes and how many demos you book up from that. All right, so you got to have something that's small, easily action, then you can keep coaching them through there. Once they experience some initial success, and again, it's like, hey, 5 calls or like 1 demo, whichever one happens first, let me know. That way, like the agreement is like, hey, even if they don't book up any appointments, they're going to give you a text after 10 calls, whichever one happens first. Right, and that's a conversation that you want to be like coaching through when you're going to book up demos. If they're too busy now, it's like having a time and agreement. All right, cool. 4 o'clock works today. All right, awesome. Well, I'm about to step into a meeting, but can you shoot me a text at 4 p.m. just right whenever you start your phone jam or phone calls, and then let me know how it goes from there, whatever the conversation is. Cool, and they're following up, and there's a case of agreement. And I would always confirm that agreement. This is how you set agreements, like, well, and they're actually clear in stone. And they're like, all right, cool. So you can do that. All right, yeah, sounds good. Cool, awesome. And then hang up. Like follow up, like have them repeat it back to you. It's like, all right, cool, awesome. So like, what's the game plan? Make 10 calls, tell you about, like have them repeat it back to you. It's like, awesome, sounds good. We'll talk to you afterwards, right? Or like they say, like, all right, cool, sounds good. It's like, all right, cool. So is that our agreement? Okay, yeah, I can count on you to just do that, and then hit me up after you make 10 calls. I can count on you to text me at 3 p.m. once you start your phone jam. All right, awesome, sounds good. Let me know how it goes. And then like follow up with them there. Questions on Friday PDI? Last 2 types of PDI, I would say, or not last 2 types. The next one is just outgoing morning PDI. Okay, so here's some quick perspective on how you can be impacting your office and your business on a daily basis. In the mornings, okay, there should be a culture where reps call in. There should also be, this is something we didn't do as a good job of this summer as an office, but we have in past summers, is reps should check in every single day. So in training, what I would promote, okay, is there's 3 times that you check in with us as an office, or you do PDI. Here's how PDI works, guys. There's 3 times where you do PDI. The first time you do PDI is in appointment check-in. It means calling from the demo once you get to, what's that? The homemaker side, okay? After that is the coaching calls, right? So coaching calls are a 4 to 5 minute call that happens at the end of every presentation once you hop in the car. The last type of PDI, okay, and this is the one that, like, again, like our office, like we need to implement this more for this summer too, is like daily check-in. Okay, like, hey guys, so rather than having you come out to the office every morning and like have to clock in for the day on the days that you work, any day that you work before 10 a.m., you just need to give us a quick call in the morning, or just shoot us a quick text or WhatsApp and say, hey, this is so-and-so. I got this lined up for the day. I'll call you later, let you know how it goes. Right? And so every rep should be checking in every single morning. If you're doing that, by the way, is crucial if you're going to be a branch manager or like a district manager without any assistants this summer. Right? Like you need to have all your reps checking in with you every single day, and they should be in a habit of it. And so when you're in the morning running Champions Club, every morning you're making outgoing calls starting at about 8:30 a.m. Right? And they should be getting calls from you in the morning. Number one, it's going to train them. They're probably going to start waking up earlier and be more productive. Like if they're not already physically sitting in front of you in that Champions Club. But the reason that you do that is, again, you're able to impact sales today. You're able to just either light them on fire, get them excited for those appointments. You're able to help create them or help shape the mentality before them. Or if they don't have anything going on and they need to, then like help them create something for that day. And the reason this is valuable is because this is your way. Like PDI is your tool as a manager to actually impact your sales results outside of Wednesday and Sunday phone games. Okay, the real way, like the reason we have Champions Club, it's actually not because like the information you teach there is so valuable. What happens at Champions Club? Yeah, they book up more demos. And guess what? When reps have more demos, what happens? They sell more, okay? And so that's why oftentimes, like as managers, like it's more important that reps get point, like in advanced training 1, sometimes reps, like sometimes that phone jam goes a little bit slower. And I'll spend more time on the phone jam because at the end of the day, whatever I'm about to teach them in advanced training 1 doesn't really matter if they don't have appointments, okay? And we got 2 demos set for this week. I could teach them the most fire tips in the world, but like they're not going to really sell that much more because they've got 2 appointments, right? Like how are they going to actually have more experience and do better at the job is by doing more appointments, even if I don't teach them anything. So that's why in the mornings you have that chance to actually impact that. right? So if you're like, hey, I want to create an extra $1,000 in sales this week, how many demos do you probably need to book up? 10 demos usually, okay? You've got 100 CPO on average per demo. So, and it depends on your office, but about 100 CPO per demo. That includes cancellation, things like that. So if you know as a manager, hey, I want to help, the office has a 10K goal this week and we're only at 9K, right? Or let's say, hey, our goal is 3K for the day and we have 20 demos today. That means we need to create another 10 appointments today in order to hit our goal. Is everyone following along with this logic? Okay, cool. So it's like, hey, we want to sell 3K today and we only have 20 appointments. Chances are we're probably not going to hit our goal for the day. So we need to get to 30 appointments. So I'm a manager, I'm a branch, I'm an assistant manager, right? What am I going to do in the morning? Oh, I've got 4 people in front of me right now. If I can just get all of them to book up 2 appointments, right? That's 8. And then I just can call 2 people this morning and see if they can get 1 more extra appointment for today. That's 10 appointments. That's how, boom, you just created $1,000 in sales and helped your office hit the goal for that day. Everyone following this logic? Okay. So an outgoing PDI is, again, your opportunity to impact like the sales results for that day and have conversations that are setting the tone and impacting that too. So that's more like the mathematical statistics aspect of it, but that really is how it is, okay? The last thing I'll tell you guys is, again, the best way to coach reps is coach them on what they want, okay? Most people want to be successful. Most people want to do well. Most people don't want to have crappy sales weeks, okay? So ask them questions about what they want, and what they tell you help show them there and coach them on how to get that versus you telling them what you want from them. Hey, I want you to do you think you can maybe book up an extra couple of demos this week or whatever? What I will share with you though too is you might have leaders on your team, and those leaders I would pour into them. There's gonna be certain people on your team this summer that they when you call, they will book up an extra 2 appointments to help out the team. Right. And so having those people on board, that's also powerful. And again, being with them, hey, look, you don't have to do anything. I know you're probably good with your goal for the week, but here's where we're at as a team right now. And I'm a little bit nervous about it sitting here. And I'm calling to a couple people that I really have a lot of respect for. And I think you could really help us get there. I don't know what you have going on this weekend. You might be way too busy, but is it possible for you to do an extra demo or 2 or something like that to help us hit it? And a lot of times when you do that and you empower your leaders, they'll step up to the occasion. And the same thing goes with PRs. And this goes back to PDI. Every single summer, the past 3 summers in a row, around June, I've had a sudden realization that summer is not going how we want it to go. And we are not heading in the right direction, and that our recruiting is slowing down when it should not be slowing down. So every single summer, this has happened 3 years in a row. Eddie was one of these guys 3 summers ago, okay? And I was sitting there, and I'm like, all right, well, we start getting into bad circles, and the trainings start not being the people that I want. And we might have 3 or 4 people that are kind of the people that we want. So I'm calling all those people up on the phone, the leaders on the team, and I'm like, hey, here's where we're at right now as an office, just being vulnerable. To be honest, we're doing well, and I don't want to say we're doing bad, but we're just not really on pace for where we need to be. And as much as I love some of the people that are coming into our office and training, it's not really necessarily the type of people that I'm looking for. And I have to talk about what you like about. I have a lot of respect for you. I think you could bring a lot to the team. And all I know is that if we could just get 2 to 3 other people like you, man, on the team, or Dan, we just have 2 to 3 other high powered females like you, or other people that are similar to yourself in the office, that is all we would need, right? And that could really just take us to the next level. So I know you've already recommended everybody, and you submitted a PR just that 100 times, but I don't know, just off the top of your head, is there anyone that maybe we could get into the office, or that if you got them in front of me, they could maybe check it out and be interested? It's oh yeah, I'll think about a couple people. Okay, and every single summer, that's helped us catapult the summer too. Eddie was one of those people. I had people this summer too, and so pouring into your leaders and empowering them, each and every single that can also help you. And again, but when you're having those conversations, you want to be impacting your office in one of those ways. Other random tidbits. Yeah. Sure thing, Jeff.
I'm actually on. Can you see on the Zoom on my phone?
No.
No. Can you hear me? Can the other guys hear me? I'm testing technology.
You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That one.
I did, but it doesn't do anything. Why don't you just talk in this?
Sorry, I was trying to be fancy. So that one thing he did is there's a lot of great things about Andrew and how he does well with his business. What I don't love is that every freaking summer we have to deal with him in this, where it's like, okay, we're not where we want to be. And that's kind of good because it's kind of good because it's almost now expected where, okay, we're going to get to a point where we need like this emergency mode thing. But what he just said goes back to recruiting, right? When things are going well, you recruit. Recruiting is the answer. That's not even this talk. But he just said, all right, I'm not where I want to be. But he's saying it, I'm still like one of the top in the company. We're just not on pace for our goals. You might say, I have no one on my team minus these 6 reps. And you can still do what Andrew's doing at a different level and say, all right, hey, Lonnie, I want to let you know that I respect you. I think you're great. I love working with you and for you here. And if we had more people like you with your attitude and people just like you, I know you've given everyone else, but man, we could really build around you. And I think you have what it takes to be a leader and possibly even a manager, you know, getting on Mr. Gimbel's radar for, I know you wanted to go in the future to do medicine and all that. Like, I want to help you get that, but I'm being selfish. I want something too. I want more people like you. So can we talk about that real quick? And you never know who turns into an Eddie Las Cuevas who years later, 3-4 years later, is still recruiting people into the team.
Yeah, by the way, that was like the start. Like before then, he was just like kind of like a sales rep on the team. And I literally pulled him into the office after an SLDM and with him and like 3 other people on the team. And from there on out, then Eddie just started feeding PRs for the next like month straight.
He had already given everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And he just was like awesome. And all these people showed up out of nowhere. And then we took a silver cup on that summer. So
just like that. Okay. Thank you. Good point. Really good point.
Other random PDIs. I mean, like Thursday is a good chance to check in on like the team. You just want to think about what happened yesterday. So it's a Thursday morning. I'm making PDI calls. Like, what happened last night? Team meeting. Like, how was it? What do you think? You know, what are you thinking now? Great. Okay. That's also I don't think anyone's mentioned this prep, and so I'll say it again. Okay. Anytime a rep comes back from an event, or they went to like, you know, the team meeting last night or Sunday or anytime it's like their first advanced training, these are the 3 questions you should ask every single time. They just came back from SLDM or a conference. This makes it really, really easy for you. Okay, here's the 3 questions. What'd you think? What are you thinking now? Yeah, what's the game plan? What's the next step? What's the action? What's the game plan? All right, so Eddie just came back from the SLDM. Like, you know, how was it? What'd you think?
It was pretty cool. Awesome.
Yeah, like, you know, what were some of your biggest takeaways? All right, great. Yeah, it's like cool to come in. All right, awesome. Yeah, and like, so like, what are you thinking now? You know, or like,
I gotta do more demos, man.
All right, awesome. Yeah. So like, what's the game plan? Whatever the conversation is. It's like, oh, like, you know, I'm excited about being assistant manager. Like, all right, cool. Like, or I'm excited about TLA. All right, cool. Like, what's the game plan, right? And so like, that's like easy. Like, you know, hey, what did you think about the TV last night? Awesome. Like, you know, what are you thinking about now? Cool. Like, all right, what's the game plan moving forward for this weekend? So that should be like your like go-to, you know, every single time. Like, if someone comes back from an event, the first thing's like, what'd you think? What are you thinking? What are you thinking now? Some of you guys are probably smiling because I've been out with y'all before. Scott, that's pretty much it. Any questions?
So that's one of those easy, as a manager, whatever manager you are, you always ask those 3 questions after every single event, like clockwork. Jamie, you just got back from SL. Oh man, what did you think? Cool. So what are you thinking now? And he explained it very well. When they answer, what are you thinking now? They're telling you they're hot button. I think you just said that, but it's like they're telling you, oh man, Branch, run with Branch. What are you thinking now? I want to sell the kitchen system. Run with them, excited to get demos. And then what's the plan? What's the plan? Always comes back to one thing, not only first years. What's the answer? When they say, okay, so Noemi, what's the plan? If you're excited about Branch, earn a spot, or get on Just Radar, it always comes back to what? So there are more sales and more plans. Every time. Yes. Cool.
Any other questions about PDI, how to do it? You guys are gonna watch a video, the Scott Dennis video, and again, like I would script that out and take notes on like this is, I gave you guys the mentality and the overview for how PDI works. And again, if you took nothing away from this, but you understand the objectives of Tuesday PDI and the objectives of Friday PDI, and then why first weekend PDI is really, really important, then that's good enough for us now. But what you also need to start learning is how to actually have the conversations, right? Like how to actually coach a rep. And there is a little bit of like system and format for it, but this is again a skill set, and it does require some practice. You know, and it's not always as like cookie cutter as like the same questions that we have. So once you start watching like that Scott video, how to like script it out and take notes on like what are the things when someone has like a big sale, what are some of the things when they have, you know, XYZ, so you have a better mentality on how to coach people for their first weekend, as well as just how to have those powerful conversations on the phone and impact your business.
Okay. Give Andrew.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Eddie, thank you.
Hey, real quick, here's what we're gonna do. Take 60 seconds. I'd like to have you put down your best takeaways, light bulbs, action steps, and then I'm gonna give a quick version of our assignments. I will follow up early next week, Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm off the good Monday completely and half of Tuesday. So either Tuesday or Wednesday, you'll get a communication to follow up on all the assignments. I'll send the Scott Dennis link for the video, so you can write this down right now, if you will. The first assignment from PDI is going to be to watch the Scott Dennis PDI video, and I'll give all the deadlines for that on when I send the communication. It'll be Wednesday more likely, okay? And then number 2, and we will get you a resource, and Mike, maybe you can help me out with this. Our next book assignment will be done. Some of you didn't submit the one that was due for this one, which is how to win friends and influence people. If you did, just send it, okay? Make sure you send it as soon as possible. By no later than Sunday, but you are late if you didn't get it by last night. So the next book will be the Your Best Year Ever by Mr. Mike Abramowitz. And Mike, I'm not sure, do you have a capability of putting a link perhaps where they can pick up the book or download? Like, what's the best method for that? Can you please? Oh, he's not there. Okay, well, we'll have to come back. So I'll give. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so there's the audio book, which I sent to you, Jeff. You can forward on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Yeah, that's free. You know, just listen to it. I had a guy out of Jamaica who did the audio book, so it's not me. So it's pretty cool. So, but what I would encourage you to do is just make sure when you're doing it, is just pause. Like when he tells you to pause and do the exercises, because the book is not necessarily about reading the content, although the content's good. There's a thing called Exercise Drive, and those exercises are designed to help you craft your goals for 2019 and beyond. So I will tell you, since the audiobook was released, I have upgraded this book 3 times. So this is the most up-to-date one that's on Amazon here.
Okay. My quick question is it timing-wise, I was originally going to have the deadline by the 12th for the prep fair, but number 1, that's going to be A squad only. And number 2, I wonder with the push if it's better just to put it as a Vector Cutco Awards night do.
It's put it this way: it's #1 bestseller in short reads. It's designed to be read in 90 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I need to hear. Okay, so I will send out everything you need to know on how to get a hold of the book, audio or live, whichever one strikes your fancy. The Scott Dennis video, and then I'll have a communication on Wednesday with more easier. Like more digestible version of the assignments, okay? Cool. Hey, I thought we had an outstanding session today overall. We went straight from sales push meeting right to TLA, and we worked today. We grinded here on Saturday, so give yourselves a round of applause. Proud of you. So it's holiday party time. It is now 6:42. What I'm going to ask is that you put all your stuff away. We're going to start with the meal, okay? Mike, are you guys good to go with the catering in San Juan? You guys have the food down there? Okay. You guys are good on food? Okay. Hold on. Siéntate, por favor. Siéntate. Okay. So in a second, we're going to head to eat, okay? And at about 7:30, Mike, if you could be on standby, and David and San Juan on standby, at 7:30, or I'll text if I have to move it a little bit later, I would like to share a few comments, almost like a toast for all the division. And then after that, we're free to start our White Elephant gift exchange. I know a lot of you have other holiday parties to get to. We'll be done here, I would say latest by 9 at the latest, probably 8 o'clock at the soonest. But you also don't have to participate in the gift exchange. It's up to you. Okay, sounds good. First of all, can we thank Luke and Andrew and all of our speakers and Carlos and Karina and Michael.